Maybe the dream state is to kind of like give us a hint.
Like a hint.
Of like, see what happens in a dream?
Yeah.
That's kind of what's actually, that is what's happening.
Right, it's a little hint in the background. It's like a background, ever-present reference thing of like, you can't ever take this thing too seriously because remember, if, you know, cut the crap. You were dreaming last night. You thought that was real too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I gotta wonder who this isn't for, this message, you know? Like, I don't want somebody to be like, lose their mind or something.
Welcome, modern day mystics, fellow truth seekers, James and Justin, back at it again for part 2 of Swami Sarvapriyananda and Who Am I? It's getting interesting, right? The last time we left, we were talking about Turia, so he's going to explain it all.
Yeah.
We're going to get into it. These are long,
We left on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, we're going to just get right into it.
What we are saying is this: just like gold is apart from all of them and yet in and through all of them. How is it apart from all of them? When bangle goes and it is made into a necklace. So necklace is not a bangle. Necklace is not a bangle. Bangle is not a necklace, but both are gold only. Similarly, when the necklace is transformed into a ring, the ring is not a necklace. Necklace is not a ring, but both are gold only. So gold is apart from bangle in the sense that when bangle goes and is made into a necklace, gold survives. When necklace goes and is made into a ring, gold survives. So gold is there in all of them. They are apart from each other. Similarly, the waker is apart from the dreamer is apart from the waker, but there is something continuing in both of them. That is the Turiam, the fourth one. Similarly, the dreamer is apart from the sleeper is apart from the dreamer. But you own up, all of us, we own up. It was my dream and it is my deep sleep. And it is my waking. Who is that one who is saying it is my waking, my deep sleep, my dream? That one is the consciousness which is apart from the waking self, apart from the dreamer self, apart from the sleeper self, and yet in and through all of them. So that this Turiam, the reality, is right now here. It is here now. But it is not exactly the Mr. or Mrs. so and so. What is added to the Turiam are the circumstances of the waker. It goes like this. Just like gold, you have consciousness. Just see, you are aware of this class now. Before this class was not there, something else was there in your life. Now this class is going on. After some time, this class will be over. Something else will come. Maybe you'll go back to your hostel or your house. So a new circumstance will come. In all cases, what happened before, what is happening now, what will happen later, you are the consciousness watching all of them. The circumstances are coming and going. Look at your own body. You see yourself as a young person or a middle-aged or an old person. Remember, the same consciousness was watching when you were a 10-year-old kid, when you were 20 years old, what you are now, and it's the same consciousness which will be watching when you are much older. So the body is changing continuously. The consciousness which watches the same. How can you say it is the same? Because it's our experience. We own up to it. I was the one in the 10-year-old's body. I am the one in the teenager's body. I am the one in this middle-aged body. So who is this continuous I? Because the body is changing. Body is continuously changing. Similarly, the mind is also changing. Imagine your mind when you are in, say, class 10. You're sitting for your class 10 examination. Why I'm saying class 10? Because everybody remembers the class 10 board exams. And the first big board exams which you had to face. So imagine your mind at that time. What you knew, what you did not know, what you liked, what you did not like, what you wanted. And just imagine, compare it with your mind now. You know so many things more. Your likes and dislikes have changed. What you want in life has changed. So the mind is also continuously changing. But there is the same consciousness which was watching the mind of that class 10 student is also right here watching the mind of this IIT student now. So mind is a series of changes. Consciousness is not changing. Similarly, every day when we go from waking to dream to deep sleep, when we go from waking to dream to deep sleep, The consciousness is the same. See, the world has changed. The waking world disappears and the dream world comes. A dream body comes. Remember, the body which you have in the dream is different from the body of the waking world. Why? Because the waking world body is lying on the bed. But in the dream body, you are doing so many things. It's a false body, no doubt. But your experience is that you have a body there in that world. So, consciousness is apart from the waking world and the waking body. Consciousness is apart from the dream world and the dream body. And consciousness is apart from the deep sleep blankness. It is in and through all of them. The states are coming and going, and the ego associated with each state is coming and going, but the consciousness is illumining all of them. The correct way to show this diagram would be, the fourth one is not here, but the fourth one is here, Turiyam or Turia. It illumines the waker, illumines the dreamer, illumines the sleeper, and this is the only reality, and this is the answer to who am I. The question is, what are you or what am I apart from this waking state, apart from the dream state, apart from deep sleep, apart from the physical world of the waking state, apart from the mental imagination of the dream state, and apart from the blankness of the deep sleep state. One of our Swamis used to give this example. Station master sitting on the station, maybe in Kanpur, and first Rajdhani Express comes on the platform number 1 or something, Rajdhani Express comes. So very important train, lot of people are getting in and getting out, so much of rush is there, so much activity. The station master watches. Then he gives a signal, the Rajdhani Express goes away, but the station master does not go away with Rajdhani Express, he is watching. Then another train comes, maybe a goods train, no activity, smoky, not many people, and very few people, 1 or 2 people may be there. It comes and stops for some time, station master is watching. He gives the signal, the goods train goes away. But the station master has not gone with the goods train. He is on the platform watching. Next, what happens? No train is there. It's a blank platform. The blankness is there. The station master is watching the blankness. Now, this is exactly what is happening. You, the pure consciousness, you watch the arrival of the waking state, just like Rajdhani Express. So many hopes and aspirations and success and failure and problems, all of it comes with the body and with the world, and you are watching. Only thing is, you get identified with the mind in the waking state and say, I am Mr. So-and-so and this is my reality. These are my problems, these are my hopes, success and failure, these are my goals. After some time that disappears. You, like the station master, this one, you are watching. Dream world comes with a dream body, with dream, nice dreams and nightmares and all and so forth. You become identified with the dream body and dream mind, and you go through these dream experiences. Then that also goes away. Blank platform. You are the consciousness watching the blank platform. And again the waking state comes, Rajdhani Express comes again. But you are apart from all of them. Not only you are apart from all of them, you are untouched by all of them. You are untouched by all of them. The sufferings and enjoyments of the waking state, of the dream state, and the blankness of the sleep state, none of them touch the pure consciousness which is apart from all of them. But it sustains all of them. In its light, the entire game is illumined. This whole thing is illumined in its light. Now we'll quickly go through the verse and try to understand.
Well, that's a good area. So Turium or Turia, like he's been talking about it, is consciousness.
I think I'm getting enlightened right now. Whoa!
I think with a lot of this stuff, we are intellectually absorbing this, like we're learning this, and oh, okay. And
but I'm actually trying to let it penetrate. Like I'm
trying
to,
I hear what you said.
And then, funny enough, and maybe this is a backlash of the ego, the thought came into my head, like, is this in any way dangerous? You know what I mean? Like, is there anybody is this a good message for everyone? I'm just raising the question.
That's a good question.
Like, I'm not trying to, because I'm into it, I like it, I'm even trying to let it work on me.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering, is there anybody that this kind of like, does it become dissociative at any point where it could be an issue in some way? Like, I'm just raising that question.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe in the comments somebody
That's
can
right.
say like,
Yeah.
yeah, there is that, or
when
no.
you mentioned that, the first thing that kind of came to mind would be like Zen devilry or something like that.
Zen
Being
devilry,
aware-
a video. We'll probably have to do a video
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that because it's not. We don't know a ton about it, but we could kind of.
Yeah. The idea of coming to a knowledge and be like, oh, it's not me, and not really taking responsibility for things, and then being like, well, I can do whatever the heck I want now then.
Right. Well, isn't the question then in your waking life, your ego seems to be the one in control in that point, doing the actions and doing things, whether or not your true self is kind of behind watching it, the ego is doing it. Is what this is leading to that Turia takes its position at the throne, and then now Turia is operating above the ego. Is that the end game here?
The end game?
Almost like God living through you?
Possibly. I don't really know. Honestly, we're going to have to watch and see what he says about that.
Yeah. So many questions,
Yeah.
you know?
But very interesting, that's for sure. All right, let's let it roll.
What they are trying to say. Let me read out the verse once for you. Then I'll break it up and explain it. Now you'll see it will all become perfectly clear. The verse goes like this. The mantra goes like this. Nantaf pragyam na bahish pragyam na ubhayataf pragyam na pragyana ghanam na pragyam na pragyam adrishyam avyavaharyam agrahyam alakshanam achintyam avyapadeshyam ekatma pratyasaram prapanchopashamam shantam shivam advaitam chaturtham manyante sa atma savijneyah. What does it mean? Let me take you through this. There are three parts here. The first two parts, first part, it denies that you are the waker. It says that you are not this waking person you imagine yourself to be now. You are not the dreamer. You are not the sleeper also. That's the first part. The second part of it will deny you are not this Turiam, the reality, real you. You are apart from this waking world. You are not this physical body of the world or anything to do with this world. You are apart from the dream world. And you are apart from the blankness of the sleep world. The third part will tell you that you are in and through, just like gold is through all this. The third part will tell you, you are the consciousness which is watching all this panorama, this game of the Jagrat, Swapna and Sushupti. Okay, let me read it out. First, Nanta Pragyam. Now you can easily understand. Anta Pragyam literally means the inward directed consciousness. It means the dreamer. He says, you are not the dreamer. Na Anta Pragyam. You are Turiyam, na Anta Pragyam. The fourth one is not the dreamer. Na Bahish Pragyam. You are not the waker. You the Turiyam. You are, your real nature is not the waker, which you imagine. Now all of us, this is our reality. We think, I am Swami Sarvapriyananda standing here in this lecture hall number 3 in IIT Kanpur. This is my reality. He says, no. You are the consciousness illumining this temporary appearance in your consciousness. Okay. You are not the waker. Na Bahish Pragyam. Anything in between, waking and dream sort of. Na Ubhayata Pragyam. You are not something in between also. In between consciousness. I think many students are familiar with this in-between consciousness. You know, after a lot of, maybe a long lecture, we tend to go into an in-between consciousness, between waking and dream. So, I've seen many times the notes that you take in that in-between consciousness are very interesting. Something the teacher is something that is coming from your subconscious mind, something the teacher is thinking, and a mixture of that will come in your copy. Okay. So, you are not in between also, nothing in between. Na pragyana ghanam. Who is the pragyanam ghanam? The deep sleep. You are not this one also. You the Turiyam, pragyana ghanam. Na pragyana ghanam. Turiyam, na pragyana ghanam. And na pragyam. Here the word pragyam is interpreted as, are you some kind of, God, omniscient God, Ishvara, Bhagavan? Na pragyam. You are not that also. So this is the meaning of pragyam. Na apragyam, the last word. Na apragyam, sandhi has been done, na pragyam. What does that mean? In that case, is my reality that I am not sentient? I am some jada vastu like a duster or a chalk? He says, no, not that also. So, na apragyam. You are not unconscious. You are not all-knowing God. You are not the waking person. You are not the dreaming person. You are not the sleeping person. Number one.
So it seems like he started off by getting you into the mindset of, okay, you're not just one of these things, you're all of them. And now from that place, he's saying, okay, now that you see that you're interlaced through all these things, now we're going to go through and let you realize that you're actually not all these things.
Yeah.
Doesn't it seem like that's the...
Taking it to like another step. It's weird though, because I resonate what he was saying there about like, I'm here, I'm doing this right now. You feel so attached to what's going on. It's extremely hard to think otherwise, that you could be something behind.
I feel like I don't know if I'm deluded, but I feel like I'm following along with what he's saying.
Oh yeah.
Right? And it's just interesting that we start off with like a base establishing premise, which is like, okay, you know, people think that they're just waking, and they label that as such, but it's like, you're the waking self, you're the dreaming self, and you're the dreamless sleep self.
Yeah.
Right? So that's all, which is, called Turia.
Yeah.
That's what it really is.
Yeah.
And now what is Turia? And he's going through and he's like, not this, not that. It's kind of paradoxical. Like, it's kind of like,
yeah, he's kind
both
of like
or something.
He's handling it like a math problem,
Right. Right.
So we'll have to continue on and find out where it's going.
Number 1, Turia is none of these. Number 2, the second part starts. Adrishyam. What is Turiyam? Adrishyam. Literally, it means invisible, but also means it's something that you cannot see, you cannot hear, you cannot touch, you cannot smell. It is not an object of our 5 sense organs. Sometimes people say, if God exists or Atma exists, why can't I see it? It's like saying, if the Higgs boson exists, why can't I see it? Because it is not yogya, it is not a subject of your normal vision. You cannot see it that way. If it was, you can say that there is no elephant in the room. Why is there no elephant in the room? Because I can't see it. That's a perfectly correct statement. Because if there was an elephant, you could have seen it. But if there is an Higgs boson, you cannot say, because I cannot see it, it's not there. Similarly, here it says, the consciousness which you are is not something that you can see or smell or touch. Adrishyam. Second, avyavaharyam. It is not within transaction. Transaction means usable. What we can see and feel and touch, what we can speak about, what we can use, that is vyavaharyam. Pure consciousness is not an object which can be talked about, seen, felt and used. It is not transactable, it's avyavaharyam. But remember, it is the ground, it is the source of all vyavahara. Without that, none of this can occur. None of this can occur without the pure consciousness, which is illumining all this. But it is itself avyavaharyam. Agrahyam. It cannot be grasped, which means it is not a vishaya of the pancha karmendriyas. You cannot hold it with your hands. You cannot walk to it in pilgrimage. You're going to Badrinath or Kedarnath, I'm going to Turiyam. You cannot walk to the Turiyam. And so agrahyam. Alakshanam, this is a technical term. It means it cannot be inferred. Lakshana here means the sign by which you infer something. The road is wet. So what do you infer? There was rain earlier. So is there some such sign? In Sanskrit, the classic example is Parvato Vanniman Dhumat. There is fire on the hill because I can see smoke. There is a relation between smoke and fire. So if I see the smoke, I can infer there is fire. A lot of science is done like that. Through some science, and you infer a chain. But here, this cannot be inferred because there is no sign by which you can infer it. Then, achintyam. You cannot think about it. Have you thought about it? Then it is not Turiyam. You cannot think about it. But remember, the opposite also holds. Whatever you think about is illumined by this Turiyam. The fact that we are having a conscious experience is because of this Turiyam. So you cannot think about it. Achintyam. Avyapadeshyam. It literally means it cannot be named. It cannot be named. It will take some time to explain why it cannot be named. But it's very interesting. Shankaracharya there goes into an exposition. Where can we use language? Where can we use language? There are 5 areas where language works. And he shows in the Turiyam, none of those 5 apply. I can tell you in brief, you can work it out for yourself. It goes like this. If you can use language if there is some jati, some species, if some object belongs to a class. So it's a cow. Why? We know the characteristics of the class of cows. So this object is a cow, you match it with the set and you say it belongs to that set. But there is no set of Turiam. So it cannot be part of a class. Jati. Then number second is guna. By some quality. Give me the red flower. How do you distinguish the red flower from all those flowers? By the quality of red. But you cannot say Turiam has got some quality because it's supposed to be nirgunam, beyond all qualities. Then you can use kriya. Call the cook. Shankaracharya uses this example. Pachaka. Pachaka is the cook. How did you use language there? By the function of that person you are saying. Call the driver or call the cook. But Turiyam is nishkriyam. No activity. Unchanging. So you cannot use kriya there. Jati, guna, kriya, sambandha, relation. So call the teacher. Who is the teacher? Who is a relation of teacher and student? Because of the teacher and student, there is a relationship between these two persons. Father and son or whatever. But Turiya, there is no relationship because it is one unchanging reality. There is no second apart from it. All these appear in its consciousness, but they have no reality apart from it. Just as bangle, necklace and ring have no reality apart from gold. If you remove the gold, the bangle disappears. If you remove the water, the wave disappears. If you remove the wood from this, the table disappears. Similarly, Turiya is the only reality which is appearing in all these ways. So there can be no sambandha, no relation between it and anything else. And finally, there is convention. They call it Rudhi. This person's name is Prakasha. Why are you calling it Prakasha? Just like that. It's just a name given by my parents. That this person is called Prakasha or Hari or whatever. There also you cannot use that method of naming Turiya, because to name somebody you have to point out this person. It has to be pointed out apart from all other objects. This person from now on is called XYZ. But you cannot point out Turiya that way. So language cannot operate in the case of Turiyam. And
that's I've heard that before. Whatever it is that we're talking about, whether it's consciousness or Turiya, that you can't use words to define it.
Right.
Because that would give it something when it's all of it. I guess if that's what he's pointing to, is that Turiya is everything, all in one. Because he's in the beginning of this, he talked about this as non-dual, like, explanation.
Right.
Who I am. So
imagine taking an aspect of the thing to define the whole thing.
Yes.
Like you're taking something that's couched within the thing to try to explain the thing. Does that?
Yes, that makes a ton of
possible.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't do it, and that's why he's saying you can't use any of it then.
Right.
So.
And so Abhyapadeshyam. Up to this part is the second part of the mantra, where you will see actually he denies that Turiya is any of this. The entire physical world, the entire dream world, and the blankness of deep sleep, all of them are denied here actually. You cannot see it, you cannot touch it, you cannot infer it, you cannot think about it, you cannot speak about it. So all of this is denied. None of this is Turiyam. And then the third part he comes to, then what is Turiyam? Now he speaks about it in positive terms. He says, Ekatma Pratyaya Saram. Eka, one. Atma, I. Pratyaya, the cognition, the feeling of I-ness. Saram, the essence. If you follow this I feeling, you will come to Turiyam. When Ramana Maharshi says, who am I? You practice that. It's this thing. Ekatma Pratyaya Saram. This is exactly what Ashtavakra Muni told Janak Raja. In the dream state where you there, dream is false, no doubt, but were you there? Yes, I was there. In this waking state now, are you there now? Yes, I am there. That is the Atma Pratyaya, I feeling, the consciousness which is in the waker, in the dreamer, and even in the sleeper, which is illumining the blankness of deep sleep. That consciousness is in and through all this, just like gold is in and through all this. And that is the Turiyam. Ekatma Pratyaya Saram. This is a very extraordinary word. Atma Pratyaya, I feeling. You follow that I feeling, you come to a core which is the Turiyam itself.
Yeah, but in deep dreamless sleep, try to think about that, like I can reach back in my mind to memories of childhood and, significant things like my wedding day and be like, I was there. I have a memory of being there, feeling like I was there. I'm as he's been talking, I'm trying to think about where that exists in a dreamless sleep. It's, sometimes if it was a good enough sleep, people would be like, oh, the night went by like that.
I rarely have dreams that I'm that aware of.
No, I mean dreamless.
Dreamless sleep. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, that's even worse. When I'm dead asleep, I don't feel anything.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But we're coming to a part of this where he's focusing on the I aspect of things. That this is, now we're in the realm of what Turia actually is. And it's this I thing, chase that I feeling all the way back. Yeah. And I'm trying to think about times either like, if you had a surgery or something and you were under, anesthesia. Yeah. Is that the word? Whatever the word is. And, and in a dreamless sleep, where's the I then? Is it there?
Yeah.
What are we getting a sense of? Are we getting a sense of something that we...
Well, I've heard people talk about this before. I don't know if I've necessarily experienced it. I've heard lessons similar to this teaching that, like in your meditations or whatever, just focus on the feeling of I am.
Well, the first part's easy. If somebody says you're the waking self, you're the dreaming self, and Turia is all these things, that part is kind of easy. You'd be like, okay, it's in all, because you experience those.
Yeah.
But now it's like trying to point to experiencing something with that you can't sense, smell, touch, taste. That's a more challenging part to it.
Yes, for sure.
Is all I'm saying.
For sure. All right.
Prapancha upashamam. Upashamam means cessation. Prapancha is, these are prapancha. Jagrat prapancha, swapna prapancha, sushupti, you cannot call it prapancha, but anyway. Prapancha upashamam. What is the Turiam? Where it is completely untouched by the trouble and the sorrows and the limitations of these three prapanchas. Shantam, absolutely peaceful, ever undisturbed. There is no world there to disturb you. That is your reality. And Shivam, Shivam here means Ananda Swarupam. It is full of joy. Advaitam, non-dual. Non-dual why? Because there is nothing apart from Turiya. Just as gold is Advaitam with respect to bangle, necklace and ring. Ring is apart from necklace, necklace is apart from bangle. But none of them are apart from gold. In fact, in all of them, what is the only reality? Gold. Why do you say it is the only reality? Because if you remove the gold, they will disappear. So with respect to these three, gold is Advaitam, non-dual. There is nothing apart from gold in this. Similarly, with respect to our universe, three universes, waking universe, dream universe, and the darkness of deep sleep. With respect to them, Turiyam is Advaitam. They are not apart from you, the Turiyam. In fact, in that sense, it's a tremendous statement. If this is not apart from you, the Turiyam, in that case, this waker is you, the Turiyam, and this entire waking world is actually you, the Turiyam. In that sense, you are the world. You can actually, the Advaitin declares, I am the world. Atme Vedam Sarvam. I am everything. I feel oneness with everything. Just like in the dream world, you were there, many people were there, non-living things were there in your dream. But when you wake up, what do you say? It was entirely constructed from my own mind. That means whatever you saw in the dream was you. Actually you. You are one with everything in the dream. You means the waker. You are one with everything in your dream. When you were dreaming, everything was generated from you. So you are one with everything. In the same way, in the waking world also, everything is generated from the Turiyam or projected in the Turiyam. So we are all one with all that we experience.
That's another good point. I feel like, there's so many things he's saying that I want to comment on, and I know we're not supposed to be doing that, but think about that in a dream. You'll encounter autonomous beings that come up and they're, have their own agenda and all kinds of things, and it's in your mind. That's crazy and mysterious, and it is crazy to think that that's all part of you. Sometimes people dream about things, or things come to their mind where they're like, can I even take credit for that? Where did that come from? Yeah.
Maybe the dream state is to kind of like give us a hint.
Hint.
Of see what happens in a dream. Yeah. That's kind of that is what's happening.
Right. It's a little hint in the background. It's like a background, ever-present reference thing of like, you can't ever take this thing too seriously because remember, if, you know, cut the crap. You were dreaming last night and you thought that was real too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I got to wonder who this isn't for, this message, you know? Like, I don't want somebody to be like, lose their mind or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Experience in that sense. So, Advaitam. Last part you can easily understand now. Chaturtham manyante. People think it is the fourth, roll number 4 here. They say manyante. Foolish people think there is something fourth, some gold apart from bangle, necklace and ring, some gold is there. But there is no Atma apart from these 3. You have to look there itself. So the fourth one is not here. The fourth one is here, which is shining through these 3. You have to examine the experiences in the waking state, in the dream state, and the sleeping state, and for that you have to do it in the waking state. To examine the experiences of dream or sleep, you don't have to go into dream and sleep. You don't have to start sleeping. You have to look back upon those experiences and see what was common all through. What was common all through. It is not a fourth apart from all this. That's why he says Chaturtham manyante. Chaturtham literally means Turia. People think it is a fourth reality, but actually it is the only reality because 1, 2, 3 are actually false. These 3 are not real. They are appearances. Their reality is fourth. There are not 4 things here. There are not 4 things here. There is only one thing, which is gold. It appears as bangle sometimes, sometimes as necklace, sometimes as ring. The reality is gold. Similarly, the reality is the consciousness which we are calling the fourth, Turiyam. It appears as the waker now. It appears as the dreamer. It appears as the deep sleeper. And Chaturtham manyante. Who is this Turiya? We are coming to the end. Sa Atma. Sa Atma means that is what you are. Atma means I. Atma literally means I. Atma does not mean a ghost or something, Paramatma, nothing like that. Atma means I. Sa Atma. That fourth one is the answer to this question, which we started with. Who am I? Who am I? This fourth one. Turiyam. Sa Atma. Now what do you do after all this? Sa Vijñeyaha. That has to be realized. Not only listening about it in a class or reading about it in a book, but making it a living reality. One interesting thing, Swami Vivekananda says, I will end with this. Swami Vivekananda says, he who runs away from the world to meditate and die in a Himalayan cave, searching for God, he has missed the way. He who plunges headlong into the luxuries of the world, he wants to enjoy the world, he too has missed the way. Then what is the way? Then what is the way? The way is to deify the world, to spiritualize your everyday life. That's what Swami Vivekananda says. Now with this background, you can actually understand what he means. It is the pure consciousness which you are appearing as the waker now. But it is the same thing which in all beings. And it's the same thing which appears as the non-living world. And therefore, it is the same spiritual reality which I am, which you all are, which all this is. In that sense, we are one with the world. That is spiritualization of the world. When Upanishad says, Ishavasyam idam sarvam, you see God in all beings. This is how you see. This is the most profound and very sophisticated way of looking at it, which you find in the Mandukya Upanishad. And therefore, if anybody, Swami Vivekananda says, if you leave all this and search for Turiya elsewhere, it is like throwing away the bangle, necklace and ring and searching for gold. You miss the way. If you grasp hold of this waking world, this alone is real and I am this one, then you are in trouble. Because this one will slowly become old and sick and die. This waking world is continuously changing.
Well, there you have it. Part 2, and I guess we're not going to need a part 3 because the last part of the video is question and answer period time. So,
but we'll leave a link, right? So you can watch the question and answer.
If you want to watch the question and answers, you can watch that. But wow, that was quite the journey.
I enjoyed that. There's so many interesting things said, and then at the end I was left with this thought like, okay, so we've got the idea down, and then now I'm just kind of left wondering like there seems to be different ways to the same
How do I get in tune with that Turia?
Or just different ways of even now thinking about that how to get at it, how to experience it, what you should think about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, we have our own spiritual practices, you and me, that we take on to try to get in tune with some of the things that he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe a good question to ask you guys who are watching this are, what methods do you find that are helpful to help come to this realization that he's talking about, this I am, this Turia, this one non-dual experience?
What do you do or do not do with this new information?
Yeah. So I hope you guys liked this two-part series, I guess. We'll end it here. If you did, please hit the like, subscribe, share this with a friend, and everybody, until next time, stay spiritual.